right?
Yeah.
I don't know the hero of the. I mean, Zorba the Greek is the hero, but there was this character was a writer, British writer,
The one
and
that
he
fell in love with
inherited a coal mine in Greece. He was a writer from England,
Yeah.
and he was kind of low key kind of guy. Didn't want to rock the boat and all that. And he met Zorba in this canteen in the port there or somewhere, and they start talking and Zorba calculated himself in this guy's life and become his manager and all that. And
Zorba.
Yeah, and it was great, you know. And I remember, and this is why I'm saying this story. The writer says, "You know what? I don't like to have problems. I don't want to rock the boat." And Zorba looked at him like bewildered and disgusted, and he says, "You don't like problems? Life is problems. How are you going to live if you don't have problems?" You know?
True.
That's it, man, you know? If everything is even, Steven, you're just a cotton of the century, and you can just as well just die.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Rock it a little bit. Shake the cages.
As long as you know, and Hans always, when he says something, there is logic behind it. He's not going to spew something out. That's one thing I know.
No, I'm not saying it just to piss people off.
No.
I'm trying to say truth.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm trying to say what I firmly believe is truth, and I was maybe meditating sometimes for decades.
Yeah.
You know, like what we're not talking about today.
What are we going to talk about today? You guys better sit back on this one. The question. I'm going to say the question. That's true enough. But why do you think that sport training is not?
No, I didn't.
No.
No, see, I'm going to screw it up.
Is this sport fake training?
Yeah, it's sport fake training.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask.
I mean, it's a sport, dog sport, protection sport.
Yeah, so
Or even obedience, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Why is it not the real thing in your opinion?
Yeah, it just looks like it, right?
Yeah, it looks like it from the outside of it. So if you're a sport person right now listening,
That is it looks like it, but I'm not going
just keep it clean. Just before you start, Hans, you have to say you've done sport. Just
I've
say
done
that.
I've done PSA,
Okay.
and I was second in nationals 1 year. I don't even remember what year was it, 2005, I think.
It's important to say this. Hans doesn't like to say it, but
Well,
it's
whatever.
important. But it's important for the story.
You know, I was second in open class. There was more classes, so in the open class I was second.
Yeah.
And some Malinov won, you know. That was something. But it's okay, you know. And I said, all right. And I did sport Hawaii, you know, for several reasons. There's some good stuff you can learn from sport, you know. And second of all, people used to say, Hans, how can you talk about sport? You never even did sport. So I decided to do PSA, and I wasn't that great on it. But I put titles on about 3 dogs, I think, or so. And 3 titles on 2 dogs, I think. I don't remember. Something like that.
Okay.
And I don't care, you see.
But
And they were screwed up dogs I got, you know, and I kind of fix them so I actually make it harder than if I would start from scratch. And it was fun, good people, good camaraderie, you know, the PSA crowd is great, you know. But as far as dog training, I have some issues with it, you know.
when you won that title, you said you were driving. That's what you told me. Like you were driving, you won that title, and you said to yourself, like, what is that? Kind of how it was? I think as the story goes. But
Yeah, now what? You know, what am I? But basically, why I did it is to shut these people up. Who says Hans never did sport, right? So I decided to PSA because it came kind of like the best sport I could find. And I did little shits on too, but not much. And mainly just the training shits, and I never titled, you know. But I did a lot of training, and you know. And I did title in PSA, so whatever. And so I can shut up the people who says, oh, Hans never, you know, put a title on a dog. So I did, okay, like 3 titles, and that was good enough for me. You know? And
you saw that world.
I saw that world, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of good stuff too, you know. But uh, I like the real stuff. When I do search and rescue, for example, I've done search and rescue. That was one of the first thing I've done. I love search and rescue. When I was in Czechoslovakia, I always admired those guys who were doing search and rescue there. When I was a little boy, there's this guy came with this orange sweater. Everybody it was like a god walked into the bar. Everybody, look at that. And it stuck with me. And they had dogs. Did search and rescue there a little bit. And it was weird. They used like a Saint Bernard's, but they were good. It was different Saint Bernard than they have now, right? They were much more athletic and stuff. And so I did search and rescue here in the United States, and when I was working seismic, we were shooting dynamite.
Oil exploration.
Oil exploration, and we've worked in winter, and we tripped some avalanches. So I get a dog, I get a search and rescue. That's really how I started with dogs in the United States. So I got 2 dogs. I got Timber and Lady from Shallow Shepherds, and they were excellent search and rescue dogs. I remember we were shooting in Utah, and that's what really brought it to fruition. And we were cutting the line across this bowl, which was really steep, and you could see the snow drift blowing over the edge, and that thing was like 20, 30 feet high. It was a giant amount of snow, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of said, well, it's probably not a good idea to shoot over here, right?
Yeah.
And because it may slide, engineering geology, so we did some slides, studied some slides, and it's basically earth slides, but the principles are the same, right? And I advised them not to shoot because I was in the crew and I was the first one, and I knew this, and they shot. Because they need the coverage, so they disregarded what I said. What the heck was I, right? And they shot, and the thing slid. And it was a white pine peak, I think it was called, where it happened. And it slid down, and it was these giant chunks of snow, size of a boxcar, literally. And I remember there was this guy, his name was Lambert, and he was on the very top, and he was sitting on the bag where the cable heads were, connected, and the bag was covering it, so when it rained, it didn't get wet, So he was sitting eating lunch, right, and they shot the thing, and he said, I remember actually it was funny. He said, suddenly I felt this cable just took off from under my ass, and I knew something is definitely wrong. And it was, it slid giant avalanche. And one of the guys, I forgot his name, his first name was Alex, and he rode one of those boxcar house-size chunks of snow for about a mile or close to a mile down the hill. Wow, right? And those chunks of snow, they were so hard that if you would take even steel shovel, you couldn't walk into it. It was so solid. And if he would fell out of those things and got between two of them chunks, he would be dead cookie. And he rode it all the way down, man, like a surfer, basically.
Wow.
Just freaking, And I talked to him, and I said, so what did you think about when you were riding that chunks of snow down the mountain? And he said, I prayed. He said, maybe that helped him.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I started doing dogs, search and rescue dogs, and I didn't know much about it, I just tried to do it and all that, and I saw that's what I like. That's why I'm talking about it. That's what I like. I see the real stuff, real police work, real personal protection, real search and rescue, real detection, like explosive detection or narcotics detection. I love that. I like to see to me, the sport is just for you know, like ego almost, or like, you know, I don't want to be insulting, but I've done sport, you know,
Yeah.
and but it's like people enjoy it, and it's something
It's a good
to do
social thing.
something to do on weekend.
Yeah.
You know, it's a social thing,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of politics, you know, so it's not really that much
Yeah.
fun. You know, in a lot of clubs,
There's that.
stuff. Yeah, there's that, and so, but I like the real stuff. And when I started doing sport, I realized this is not real, right? This is just making dogs look good so you can get points. And it wasn't always that way. When Shih Tzu started, it was just a test. Test of what? Test of dogs' suitability to be bred, because they tested their drives and instincts for obedience, protection, and tracking, right? For the real stuff.
Yeah.
Back then, you know, for the real stuff.
Yeah.
And there were no even points. They didn't reward points. It was either pass or don't pass, right? That's what it was. And so when you pass, they said, okay, now you can breed this